Yeah, well, several response videos to several people on YouTube, and I'm sorry my video here is in black and white. It's not meant as such. My cameras and my lighting around here is completely on the fritz, and so that's the only way I can record this video other than appearing, as some green alien creature on this camera. So, okay, first to Louis, the protectionist. Now, Louis, you and I have known each other for a long time on YouTube, at least, and I have to basically respond to your video because I strongly disagree with your latest video. Not all of your videos at all, but what you said in your latest video is perhaps a bit too broad. So let me explain. First off, when you say that we're all the same, basically we're all decent people. Everyone is decent, and all decent people should get together. That in itself is a fantasy, okay? Because not all people are decent, and not all people have the same goals, by definition. And for you to bring up the argument of traditionalism to defend, let's say, your argument in opposition to gay marriage is basically, well, that's just what it is. It is about tradition. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about tradition. There are lots of traditions. Some are valuable, some are not. Now, many communities all over the globe have certain traditions. That doesn't mean they never evolved and kept everything the same as it always was. Here in the United States, we have made much progress by basically smashing certain traditions, such as when women didn't have the right to vote. Blacks were only 3/5 of a person, and so on. So all of this went against tradition. So the argument in favor of tradition is basically, it's silly, okay? What you're really arguing about is not about tradition, but of majority opinion. And majority opinion is very, very slow to change, as you know, in any society. It may take 100 years, 200 years, it may take 1,000 years, okay? But the argument in favor of tradition is not a logical argument. It makes absolutely no sense to me for you to be in favor of traditional marriage as a civil contract that is, when it has no effect on you, your own life whatsoever, It doesn't affect you at all, If some person of a different race wants to marry another person of a completely different race, well, it's none of your business. It's none of anyone's business, really. And the same goes for, gay marriage in a civil society. Now, remember, we have separation of church and state, in this country. And so it shouldn't even be an issue. If your religion or your belief prohibits, that kind of union outside of civil law, but that's fine. You don't have to enter into it. It's very basic. Nobody is forcing you. Nobody. But on the other hand, religious entities are trying to force non-religious entities into abiding by their will. And that's just not going to fly. You know, this is 2012. We're no longer in the 18th century here. According to tradition, you know, a woman's role in society was to bear children and bring up the young. Well, guess what? You know, the invention of birth control changed all that. And that meant a major power shift, at least, you know, in Western societies, as far as control was concerned. Control over people's lives, that is. You know, traditionally the churches had that, and tradition had it, and that changed quite a few things. And I'm sure you would agree. It's also, in my opinion, a simplification to say that we're all the same. Black and white are the same. You know, blacks and minorities are the same as white people. You know, this is very easy to say for all of us whites, because we've been afforded the privilege of opinion all along in the first place. So affirmative action, basically, in my opinion, was a step in the right direction, because it at least leveled the playing field. Which is not to say that the mistakes weren't made, that standards weren't lowered, you know. They probably were to some degree, which is not to say that we can't raise them up again, you know. It's not like you're making it seem like you're making it seem that irresponsibility is an ingrained thing, when it's not. First off, you have to have certain opportunities to even exercise that responsibility in a larger society. And that was very difficult to achieve for blacks and minorities to start with, because they weren't being taken seriously at all. In other words, they had different values, right? Well, no, they didn't, but you see where I'm getting at. The problem, in my view, is our economic system, which rewards basically wealth and money and status over other intrinsic values, which are also human, you know. And because of that kind of trend, you know, people of all races and ages are caught up in this vacuum, you know, this constant vacuum of, well, I have to do this and this to succeed and so on. And rest assured, if you had a Walmart store in Appalachia, it wouldn't just be black people storming that store. It would also be a lot of white people, a lot of white poor people storming that store for their iPhones or whatever. So it's in some ways it goes beyond race because it's about class. And the last thing the big honchos up top want, historically, is that actual people get together. Okay? Actual people of all races, all creeds get together and say, listen, we want to have some input into the system. And I think, at least I hope, that's what you were trying to say with your video. But it came across the wrong way, because baggy pants and gangster rap and all this shit is not the problem. The problem is commercialism of everything out there, including our emotions. Okay? There's a big, huge psychology involved here. To get us all to fight against each other. And you don't seem to realize that one out of 6 people or something, 1 out of 6 black people are in jail in this country. They're in jail. So obviously there's something wrong with the justice system. And has any banker gone to jail? Has anybody up top who has robbed millions of people of their retirement savings when they played by your rules, have they gone to jail? Yeah, some people have, like Martha Stewart or that Madoff guy, who ripped off a bunch of whole rich people. Basically the reason why he went to jail is because he ripped off rich people. And I'm not saying, making money, having wealth is an intrinsically bad, inhuman thing. No, but if you are wealthy, and if you, what do you need beyond $1 million really on this earth? What do you need for yourself to survive? Really? I mean, it's an idiotic question. Our value system is completely screwed up if it's all about wealth creation, GDP growth, and all this bullshit. Because we live on the same damn planet, and resources are limited, and we better find ways, and there are ways out there, to make it sustainable for most people. And as soon as anybody mentions most people nowadays, it's called socialism. Give me a break. It has nothing to do with socialism. It's a matter of survival, basically. And it goes into deep philosophical issues, not just political issues. But as long as you're stuck in politics, the big guys win every time, as they always have. Always. And people have always pushed back against this. Since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of civilization, really. Now, their stories have completely been erased from the history books, but it's always the same dynamic, Some people get too uppity, they think they own it all, and then they crush the rest of the people, and then the rest of the people rise up and say, fuck you, and then the whole cycle begins again. And this is the cycle which probably cannot ever be broken, but if we can do just a little bit, to slow that thing down, and to help other people out without some ulterior motive of rich, quick schemes or something, we should probably do it. I'm sorry, Louie. Your video rubbed me the wrong way tonight, and I know you didn't mean it. We're not enemies. So don't think I'm going to be trashing your channel or anything like that. But just came off the wrong way, you know. Sometimes you do videos, as do I, you know. And then I think later on, I probably should have rephrased that. It didn't come across clear enough. And I think that was one of those videos. Okay, see you later.